You're listening to episode 15 of the Juicy Details. My name is Juicy Pat Lucy, and the Juice JT Dunn is not here right now, but he will be joining us later on in this episode. See, he's getting ready, he's getting prepared for a big weekend, because in Philadelphia, well, Voorhees, New Jersey, which is right outside of Philly, it is CZW's biggest show of the year, Cage of Death 15. And it's such a big weekend that JT, he needs time to get ready. You know, he's buying some groceries for the trip from, New England, and he's probably polishing David Starr's dick right now, because, those two, they're crazy sons of bitches, but, they have a big tag team title match. But right now, I have the CZW Heavyweight Champion on as a guest right now. Please welcome to the show, Drew Gulak. How are you doing today, Drew?
Hi, nice segue. I prefer World Champion, actually. But, hey, thanks for the intro.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. CZW World Heavyweight Champion. So,
actually, fun fact, it doesn't even say heavyweight on the belt. It just says World Champion on the belt.
Oh, so, okay. Well, I did not know that.
Who wants to nitpick over those kind of things, say whatever you want.
No, I that's fine. That's fine with me. So, I mean, I know you're getting ready for the big weekend, big show too, so I want to get right into it. What are your thoughts and feelings going into this big show right now?
I'm kind of overwhelmed. This is shaping up to be the biggest show that we've ever held, and it's looking to be pretty awesome. I think it's going to be amazing. But I've been very busy trying to get ready for this week. There's a lot of things I have to do. I'm helping coordinate a lot of things. We got a big Q&A session tomorrow at 4 o'clock that I'm kind of helping put together. It's going to be immense. And the weather looks like it's going to be okay, even though it's going to be snowing.
Well, okay, that's as good as you can get in the Philadelphia, New Jersey areas in this time of the year. So that's good. That's good to hear. And then, yeah, big show, but for you in particular, you have one of the biggest matches in your careers this weekend. I mean, you've been the CZW World Champion for a couple months now. You've had some successful title defenses, but then this weekend you're going one-on-one. You're defending the title against Chris Hero, who just recently made his return to the independent wrestling scene. So, what are your thoughts and feelings going into this match?
Well, Chris is someone who trained me for a few years earlier on in my career. Actually, right at the beginning of my career, he was one of the head trainers at the CZW Chikara Wrestle Factory. And right up until the schools split, right before then, he stopped training us. So that was about 2007. So I have quite a few years under his tutelage. And then we kind of lost touch. We lost contact after he moved on to other things. And then, that led to WWE, of course, and, his success overseas. And in that time, Chris, as good as he was, got even better. So it's going to be a huge test for me to kind of see where I measure up against him in the ring this weekend and defend my belt against him.
Do you have any strategy right now going into the match of how you can counter Hero's knockout elbows, anything like that?
If I did have a counter, why would I tell you?
Because this is the juicy details, Gotta give us some juicy dirt, juicy details, huh? Yeah?
Well, if you want some juice, let's see. I fought a deathmatch legend, a steroided up mongoloid, my best friend, and also Shane Hollister. So there you go. That's what I have going in for me, leading into this match. I beat all those people.
Wow, that is quite the juicy detail right there. I believe you.
Squeeze it out.
Alright, so you just mentioned that Hero was one of your trainers early on, and so it's going way back. I want to know, what made you choose the CZW Academy in the first place, all the way back in 2004, 2005, and what was it like training on in your early years? Did you have any buddies in the school? Anything like that?
Well, what initially got me into CZW was my first foray into independent wrestling. I was a big wrestling fan growing up. I was really into WWF. And what wound up happening was I was involved in an accident where a building collapsed in New Jersey when I was about 12 or 13. I was 13 at that time. And one of the men who happened to be working in that building at the same time turned out to be John Zandig, and he actually pulled me aside and pulled me to safety. Got a bunch of kids out of the way. And I had a wrestling T-shirt on. He was like, "Hey, you like wrestling, huh? You should come see this." And I wound up going and check out the first Best of the Best tournament, and that's how I got into Combat Zone Wrestling. And I just kind of, it might be because it was my first independent wrestling show that was so immersive. I got to see people like the Amazing Red and Ruckus and the Briscoe brothers up close and personal, and I saw how, these guys weren't much older than I was at the time. I was like 14, 13, and I kind of had a feeling I could do it, so I wound up sticking with it. Me and my brother were there for a long time. We eventually started doing the ring crew. We were on ring crew for a year, and then we got invited down to the school to do a tryout, and everything is kind of history from there. As far as friends in the school, the only guy I really clicked with was Andy Sumner earlier on in my career. Me and him were a tag team for several years, and we won the CZW World Tag Team Championship twice. And then he decided to move on with his life and not tell me a thing about it. And then I saw him once, and I haven't seen him since. So there you go.
I'm still in kind of a bit of a shocked mood that. So it started with Zandig saving your life, as essentially, and that's what got you into CZW.
If you want to put it that way, yeah, he did. He was one of the guys who pulled me to safety. It was really weird. Like, have you ever been involved in something like that where, like, there's a huge emergency in the building only for real? Like, I know drills happen in school and stuff, but.
I haven't, nothing like that where.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, John works as a contractor and stuff, so he happened to be working there at the same time, but that's how we met, and that's how I got into the business, essentially.
Wow, that's really amazing. So let's talk more about your CZW career early on. Describe your first couple years at CZW. Were you all right with not doing the ultra? Did you kind of feel like you were a fish out of water, being one of the few men in CZW who didn't really do ultra-violent wrestling back then, or were you comfortable with just being yourself, this using like technical ability in the ring?
Well, that was always something that was kind of around us the entire time, when we started training before the schools merged. And, my debut happened right about the same time that happened. So I had the opportunity actually in Tournament of Death 4 to participate in the Ultraviolent Student Rumble, which was probably the most dangerous and dumbest match we've ever put on. And that's the match that saw Danny Havoc debut, and Andy Sumner participated in the beginning of it. Guys like Ravage were in there, who I trained with. And it was really fortunate that I was not allowed to participate in that match. I actually asked the booker at the time, "Hey, let me in. All my friends are doing this." And he said, "Nope, your trainer said no." So technically I got blocked from doing that match by Chris Hero, by Mike Quackenbush. And, in hindsight, I cannot be more grateful, because nobody who, should belong in the ring, I shouldn't even belong in the ring at that time, let alone be in a position where I could potentially get injured by weapons and be in there with guys who may not have the right experience to go in there and do that thing in the first place. So I was very lucky not being in that match. And, I was never uncomfortable being around deathmatch wrestlers. I trained with them regularly. I was always, there for them to get stitched up. I always saw the crazy stunts that went on. It's one of the things that got me into CZW in the first place.
Alright, that's good. And then it was around, I believe, 2009 that you first, won your first title in the CZW Wired, TV Championship. Do you remember what that was like, knowing that you were going to hold, one of CZW's singles titles?
Yeah, the Wired title was my first time ever holding a singles championship in Combat Zone Wrestling. And for me, it's a symbol of progress. That's what that means. That belt represents progress. That's all it really means to me. The tag belts represent unity, of course, but the Wired Championship represents progress. They introduced that title to take over for the since retired Iron Man Championship, held by the likes of guys like Chris Hero and Nick Mondo and B-Boy over the years. And so for me to be kind of like placed in this position where I was a champion for the first time, it's really the first time I felt like responsible, and it allowed me to grow as a wrestler through that. It was kind of nice.
Looks like we have the Juice JT Dunn. I believe he's about to join us if you're ready for him.
I'm always ready for him.
Alright, let me get him on.
Hello?
Hey JT, how you doing today?
Fantastic, man. Sorry I'm a little late. Rushing around and the laptop wanted to give me a problem.
It's
So I'm
all good, you know.
on the phone.
It's all good. We're just discussing the upcoming Cage Death weekend with Drew Gulak. I believe you two know each other, maybe? Yeah.
We do know each other. Drew, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing? You ready for your big match?
I am doing well, and I am more than ready. I don't think I've trained this hard in my entire life or anything.
Good. It's a good opportunity, man. I think you guys are going to do really well.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. I'm always ready.
I wouldn't expect a different answer from you.
Well, yeah, I asked Drew the question a couple minutes ago, so I'll ask you too, JT. What are your thoughts and feelings going into this big weekend, your big tag team title match, you and David Starr against,
Blackout.
Blackout, yeah. I don't know why I forgot that. But, you know, big tag team title match for you guys, so what are your thoughts and feelings going into it right now?
I wouldn't lie and say that I'm not a little nervous, because I am. I'm definitely a little nervous, but at the same time, I'm so excited. This is my first Cage of Death. I've heard the stories, and I've definitely had people reach out to me throughout the week that have participated in Cage of Death to tell me how important it is and the history it has with the Combat Zone. And I'm honored to finally be a part of this, and I know I've worked hard to be here. I've earned the right to be here, and now Star and I, we get a world tag team title shot, which is just, it's breathtaking. And I know how good, G's and Ruckus are, and that's why Star and I have been training that much harder so we can go in there and just prove everybody wrong. Winning the world tag titles, at Cage of Death, is what we want to do, and it's not impossible, and we realize that now. So I'm excited, man. I'm pumped. I can't wait. I wish it was right now.
I mean, nothing is impossible, and I believe in you, brother. You know, you and David Starr, the Juicy product, I believe you'll take home the CZW tag team titles. Then
I appreciate
you and Gulak can go out celebrating. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he wants to hang out with me.
No.
Why not?
Huh?
Why not? Are you boring or something?
Oh, I'm a lot of fun.
So you'd be fun to hang out with then, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Depends on your interpretation of fun.
Okay.
So what did you guys cover up earlier, Pat Lucy, with Mr. Gulak?
Well, I mean, we covered John Zandig saving him from a building collapsing, and that's how he got into CZW. Crazy story, huh? And then, you know, we talked about his time in training, his first singles title win in the Wired Television Championship. And next I was going to ask him about, after winning the title, his next big feud in CZW. It was against fan favorite at the time, Nick Gage. I want to know, Drew, some of your thoughts and feelings during that feud with Nick Gage, and what it was like hearing that that day when he actually got arrested for robbery.
Working with Nicky was like an honor for me because he was one of the top guys in CZW. Probably at the time he was one of the top guys just in general in wrestling as far as being able to command a crowd and you know dominate that kind of aspect of what we do. And for me, it was a big opportunity. That was my first time getting in the ring with him in a singles opportunity. It was the first time for me as a champion to step in the ring with him and someone of his class, really. So it was a huge opportunity. I was really looking forward to it. We had the crowd in the palm of our hands anytime we were, you know, involved together in front of that audience, which was not an easy task back then when that crowd was around. And then, he decided to rob a bank one day, and, you know, that kind of ruined the whole thing. So I feel great about that.
I mean, where do you think the feud would have gone if he had not been busted?
I have no idea. Probably with me beating him in a match of some sort.
I think that's a bold prediction. And not long after that, you started this campaign for a better combat zone. I want to know where that first started and how you thought about this.
Well, the campaign first developed right around the time when me and Nikki were involved in our feud. He was well known for grabbing referees in the middle of matches and putting them through tables. And I thought that wasn't really cool or fair to the referees, and they agreed with me. So I started speaking out against that. And when I would speak out against it, that kind of pissed off some of the other guys in the locker room, guys like John Moxley and the Briscoe brothers and Devin Moore, and they would interject themselves during my paid presentation time. So I had to get myself a bodyguard. Mr. Dewins kind of joined me after Nikki abandoned him for, his life of crime, which only lasted a week. And Alexander James joined us shortly thereafter, and then Kimberly joined us last year. So that's kind of how the campaign came together. We're this group of people looking to change the combat zone for the better.
I would like to know if you were actually in charge of CCW, and one day DJ came up to you, be like, "No one, I'm done with this BS. Drew, you're in charge now." I want to know, because you want a better CZW, what would be some of the changes you would immediately make to CZW if you were in charge?
I would give the wrestlers more freedom to do what they want on the shows within reasonability, as long as it's safe for them. And I'd probably focus more on promoting outside of our current fan base right now and getting more people in the building.
And I'm guessing you would give JT Dunn a couple more bookings, maybe?
Sure, if he keeps winning.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Just win, Juice, win.
Now you've been a part of CZW since 2005 when you first walked into the school. In your opinion, how much do you think the company has evolved over time, and for the better, for the worse?
It's definitely for the better right now. I happen to get involved with the company at the tail end of Zandig's career with CZW, and it was a really chaotic time. There was no organization. Guys wouldn't know who they were wrestling until an hour before the show, if that. There were times when Zandig wouldn't even show up to the building, so people would be left holding their dick in the wind trying to figure out what's going on. And then DJ happened to buy the company a few years ago, and since then he did things that people thought CZW would never do, and that's expand our international markets and as well as our local markets. He's been networking with a lot of people who are involved in the wrestling business, people who John Zandig would not reach out to for one reason or another. Not that it was a poor decision from his perspective, it was just a poor decision from a growth perspective, if you ask me, and it was kind of giving CZW a bad name. So DJ's kind of like in the Barack Obama position after George Bush did a number on our economy, where he has to overcome all these challenges of, giving the United States a better name. DJ is trying to do that with CZW, and that's a extremely bold analogy, but that's how it makes sense to me.
Well, that is quite the analogy, but I think that's a pretty accurate one too. So as the years have progressed, you've gotten a lot better in the ring as a singles competitor, and was finally at Tangled Web this year, August 10th, 2013, where you won the CZW World title against Masada, and I want to know what that night was like for you, what it meant for you.
It was very important for me. That's what I had to do to kind of establish myself as the top guy in the company. I had to hold that belt because whether or not Masada realized it, he was seen as a leader, as a role model in the company. And so many other people who have held that belt have squandered that opportunity, or any championship for that reason. So take some notes, Juice, because if you win this title, you're going to be looked at as the top guy in your position. So you better come at it with a sense of responsibility. And I've kind of always had that, especially since I won that Wired title that we were talking about earlier. So for me, that night was immense. And it was also nice to put Masada in his place for once. Because he is an arrogant guy. I don't know if you know him. He's super arrogant.
I was there to see that. That was really crazy, especially at hearing all the stories about Masada, because as I have mentioned before, I was relatively new to everything that was going on in Combat Zone, and I've kind of caught up and seeing something like that happen and seeing Masada lose, and to you, I was just like, oh my God, like this is history. This is something that people are going to talk about for a very long time in CZW. So I was glad to just be there and to be a part of that emotion. I can just imagine the emotion running through you at that moment.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. Many years of many years leading to that moment for me.
I had a question for you. I don't know if you had covered it earlier, but I had saw on your social media account earlier you had posted something with the Flashback Friday of you and Rory in the ring, and it was like from a few years back. Have you touched on that on here at all?
No, we haven't touched on that.
Do you mind if I do?
You may touch on whatever you like.
No? Well, thanks for the offer.
Almost.
Yeah. Not like that.
Yeah, now it's all good. Now it's all good. What was that experience like, being in there, with Rory? I can never, ever relate to anything like that. Is that up there with winning, like the heavyweight championship? And obviously the spectrum is a little different, but emotion wise, is sharing the ring with Rory like that, like on that level?
You know, it's funny. A lot of people, when I do these interviews, they ask me, so besides winning the heavyweight title, what's the most memorable moment that you have in the ring? And for me, it's when Rory debuted. You know, he's about 3 years younger than me. And in the state of Pennsylvania, you're not allowed to wrestle legally until you're 18. So I debuted when I was just turning 18. And at the time, you know, Rory was 15. So he had to wait 3 years. So he just basically trained for 3 years. You know, the same things that I was doing, but he never really had that experience wrestling in front of a crowd. Right, he was about to debut. He was going to leave for the Marines. He didn't know what he was doing, you know. And luckily that path changed for him, and he was able to stay around for us. But he kind of got shoved out there in front of the crowd right then and there. He was dressed up as Nick Mondo, you know, his idol that he looks up to, that he still kind of looks up to, and you know, pays tribute to every time he wrestles. Mm-hmm. And that was an amazing moment because the crowd was mostly left over from when I was a fan. It was that same crowd. They remember Rory being in the audience as a fan of Sick Nick Mondo back in the day. And he came out, you know, and wrestled me in a singles match in the arena, you know, on a CZW show for his first match. And he did a fantastic job. And for me, that was one of the craziest memories I'll ever have in wrestling was seeing that audience come to their feet when he came to the ring.
It's really like, it's so awesome to hear stories like that and to know that moments like that are actually realistic. Like it's a possibility for things to occur. I've always said nothing can compare to professional wrestling, the feeling you get coming through the curtain or experiencing, maybe somebody you're close with, friends, family, going through those moments as well. And seeing that picture, it was really cool to see that aspect because, it was new to me. Like I had no idea that things had happened like that. So it was interesting for me to be able to see that dynamic on just a random Friday. Like, in any other day, you would never know what to expect, but going through social media, I came across it and it stuck in my mind all day. So I figured I would have to ask you knowing that we would, be speaking.
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
After Cage of Death has come and gone, win, lose, or draw. What is the plan for Drew Gulak?
Well, the plan right now is to win. So my schedule kind of adheres to that. Mm-hmm. I wanna keep moving on and keep progressing CZW. We need to make this company, you know, the forefront of professional wrestling over the next year. And, you know, we need a strong undercard, a strong roster to do that. I don't like to say undercard, a strong roster to get that done. And we need people to kind of champion this place to where it can be. And, you know, if we have good champions across the board, we might be able to do that. So that's what I want to see happen, first and foremost, more than anything. So wherever I go, if you see me signing the words for a better combat zone, you know, understand I do that with great pride and a great sense of ownership. You know, I want to say ownership. I feel like our fan base has a good sense of ownership to the combat zone brand. And that's how I feel.
Great answer. Saturday, Cage of Death. I look forward to doing what I can to help take a step in the right direction for a better combat zone.
Sounds good. 4:00. Got that Q&A, bro.
Oh yeah.
Well, Drew and JT, thank you both for taking time out of your schedules, joining us here the day before Cage of Death, talking about it. Do you have any other plugs, final comments you would like to say? Either of you two?
Well, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Drew Gulak. That's DREWGULAK. It rhymes with attack. Or visit my website, www.drewgulak.com. That also rhymes with attack. It's the same word, spelled the same way. So if you need to get in touch with me or contact me anyway, otherwise I will see you tomorrow in Voorhees, New Jersey at Cage of Death 15.
JT, anything?
I'm about the same. Twitter, Facebook, everybody, you can kind of just search JT Dunn, you'll find me. But I want everybody at Cage of Death tomorrow. I want to experience Cage of Death at its finest. 7 million people, as many as we can put in the Flyer skate zone. 20 million? That's capacity. All right. Let's do 100 million. I'm all about it.
They could be viewing it around the world worldwide on czwippv.com.
Right there. There it is. And even after Cage of Death, let's keep packing the Flyer skate zone. Let's just make CZW what we all know it can be. And
I want the Philadelphia Flyers to be so pissed off that they cannot get into the building to practice next Thursday. I want them to still be out there.
Waiting for the next show.
Yep. I want John Zandig come to the building on a fire truck dressed as Santa Claus on Christmas Eve because there's so many people outside the Flyers skate zone, and give all the Philadelphia Flyers who are still stuck outside a bunch of presents. And by presents I mean spinning clotheslines and mother effing bombs.
I love this.
I hope that happens. I truly do.
Well, then you better plug the show more, Pat.
I'll plug the show more. I'll buy the pay-per-view tomorrow.
Let's get it going. All night.
All night.
If David Starr can do it, you can do it. He's a Jew, and he doesn't have time for anything.
Better watch it there, pal.
Hey, nothing against it. I love it.
All right. I'll be plugging away the show. I'll be viewing it tomorrow live on iPay-per-view. Anyone listening, order the iPay-per-view too, or come to the Flyer Zone package just to piss off the Flyers.
No, come to the Flyer skate zone first, and then if you can't, then order iPay-per-view. iPay-per-view is second option. Get in the car and fucking drive, Pat.
There are people coming from all over the world to this show. I know that.
Like Antarctica.
There's people from Australia, Japan, Europe. Like, they're all coming.
Yeah. Except for you, Pat.
Yeah, except for me, because I'll be in Cleveland. Yeah.
Cleveland sucks.
It does. It really does.
It's just in far off land of Cleveland. That's, wow. That's territory there.
Oh boy. Well, once again, Drew, thank you for joining us. Juice, always a pleasure. And follow us on Twitter at The Juicy Details with an I. Fuck you, Colt Cabana. And that's a wrap for episode 15. Thank you for listening. Good. Take care.